Hello out there, and today I am excited to be talking about a knife that is not only budget friendly but is smart and creative in its design and fully functional and well put together. And that is this knife from Outdoor Edge, designed by Mr. Jerry Hossam. And this is the Conquer. So the Outdoor Edge Conquer is a knife that I received as part of a group of 10 knives on eBay. I made a video about that experience already, so I will link to that in the description down below. But it is one that I never really knew anything about this knife until I held it in my hands, and when I did a search on YouTube for this knife, there was only like one video, I think maybe two, out there. So I definitely wanted to make one to talk about this knife because it is just really well constructed and put together at a high value price. So if people don't know about it, I think more of them definitely should. So that's what we're doing here today. So this is, going over it quickly, a 3-inch blade. There is a 3.5-inch version out there if you like the larger knives. All right, so 3-inch blade of HCR 13 MOV blade steel. And there is a multi-layer G10 handle scale on a stainless steel frame lock. One position pocket clip that is tip up right side only. Open frame construction. Pretty good jimping here on top. And a manual flipper that is running on ball bearings. All right, thumb studs as well, but the flipper is the primary way of opening the knife. All right, and then for the weight of the knife, we have a nice lightweight 3.1718 ounces. All right, and so before I go into any more details, just real quickly, I'm going to say that the thing that I love about this knife the most is just how simplistic it is. You know, obviously when we look at this blade, it is unique and definitely a big talking point, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the construction of the knife is just really utilitarian. Not a lot of bells and whistles here, just a few pieces, a couple screws, and they go together perfectly. All right, so definitely something to keep in mind when you're thinking about the quality of this knife. It is high for what you're spending on it, definitely. But the blade, definitely the focus of this knife is as a whole. You know, in general, just a unique look. The stonewash finish here on the grind and on the swedge is very attractive. And you go up, you can see that is on the spine of the knife as well. And then that is complemented perfectly by this satin look on the flat that goes all the way down to the flipper. So overall, just a wonderful looking finish on the knife. The blade shape, also unique and very interesting. You know, that was the first thing I thought of when I held this knife for the first time, was just, okay, that's a different look. And a lot of times when you see a unique or type of blade shape that you haven't really seen before, it's a bit of a novelty and not functional. But that is surprisingly not the case here. All right, and when I first held the knife, the thing that I thought, and I looked at it this way, was I thought we had a distorted looking spear point. You know, a spear point in this case would have a tip more over here and would be more uniformly shaped. But this one, if you're thinking about it from a spear point perspective, has a tip further to the side here, and what that will do that a spear point won't have is give you this extreme amount of belly right here and a whole lot more function just in use of the knife. All right, going back towards the flipper, there's a slight recurve, and so when you are using this knife, you'll be cutting and you'll be using primarily this area of the knife right here. Now, as you get through a slice or a cut, especially with any lightweight activity, what you can do is flick your wrist forward and push that belly all the way to the tip through whatever the end of the media is that you're cutting, you know, and just really speed up the quality of your cuts and, you know, get through a lot of material faster. Now, flicking a wrist is something that you can do with any knife, obviously, but this design lends itself to that function, and it was a really pleasant surprise when I was using the knife to see how well that worked. You know, so definitely something to keep in mind that, hey, this isn't just a gimmick. It definitely works. Problem, though, is resharpening. All right. This knife is not going to be the easiest knife to resharpen, obviously. I mean, just the shape and the recurve would leave a couple dead spots probably as you're sharpening it, so it's something to be aware of there. if you strop or touch up your knives regularly, I would definitely recommend that. I'm not the best sharpener in the world, and I really needed to do that as well for this knife, because putting a whole new edge on it, if it went completely dull, for me would be next to impossible, I'll say. 8CR13 MOV, the big benefit is that it's a softer steel, so it sharpens well, but it's also a softer steel, so it loses its edge relatively quickly. So something to keep in mind. I know for a few people that might be a deal breaker, and at first it was for me, but then the more I used and held this knife, the more I didn't even care about that. So, and we'll continue to talk about why as we move from the blade to the handle scale here. So layered Brown G10. This isn't the first time we've seen Brown G10 on a production knife, but it doesn't happen very often. So it's a nice little refreshing touch to the look of the knife, I think. And not only that, but the scale is just perfectly put together. Fit and finish on it is fantastic. All right, so good look there. And then as we flip to the stainless steel lock side, there's a powder coating, it seems like, on the steel that keeps it from being too slick. It's definitely smooth, but it's got this coating here that keeps it from being too slick in the hand, which is something I usually worry about with frame lock knives, and no worry for me today. So nice touch there again. All right, as we move further back, we have this one position pocket clip. It is tip up for right side only. Not an issue for me, but again, I know some people like to move their clips around, so wanted to let you know about that. We also have a little bit of real estate poking out, but because of the way that the handle scale tapers down to the end, it's not a lot of knife that sticks out of the pocket. So for me, it wasn't a bother at all. All right, so it's something to keep in mind there, because obviously you'll see it's not quite a very deep carry, but it's not bad. It's really not nearly as bad as it might look to some of you. So keep that in mind. One other touch, and probably my favorite part of this knife that I want to talk about right now, is this recess groove in the handle scale. All right, so there's a depression here, as you can hopefully see as I rotate the knife in the G10 that goes all the way down here. And what that's for is when the knife is sitting in your pocket like this, you pull it out with either your thumb or your forefinger, however you do it, and you get that little bit of texture that tells you where you are on the knife. That's really the only reason why this could be here that I can think of, at least. And the extra machining process that it would take to put that in the G10, is something that you wouldn't expect to see on a budget knife. But hey, here it is. And it's a level of craftsmanship that I just get really excited about, because, it just goes above and beyond for outdoor edge here. And you can tell the amount of thought that went into the design and the commitment to making a high quality piece here. So kudos to Outdoor Edge and the designer just for going above and beyond with that. Like I said, my favorite part of the knife, probably the part that I will, notice the least overall, in day-to-day function. It doesn't really affect how I use the knife, but it's one of those touches that just tells me that it's very well thought out. So again, big props for that aspect of it. All right, and moving on to the function of the knife, we've got extremely nice centering right here, and the lockup is great. This knife opens extremely smooth. There's extremely again, just throwing that out there over and over again today. Extremely this, extremely that, but it is extremely smooth. Once you break the detent, there is a strong detent, so it flies out and kicks pretty well. The ball bearing pivot here functions beautifully, and you can hear this strong lockup there, guys. Real strong. So high quality marks there as well. Ergonomically, I don't think you're going to have a big issue with this knife. If this doesn't work out for you, like I said, there is the larger version, but for me, it was very comfortable and fit all 4 fingers here. A little bit of space at the back. So if you have larger hands, you do have that larger option out there if that's the purchase that you want to make. All right, and we have some nice jimping on the top, functional jimping, you know, not like the cheap jimping that doesn't do anything. This actually does. You can choke up as well. Nice little guard here due to the flipper. All right, so overall, guys, this knife is a huge win, a really huge win, one that I'm thrilled to be able to have talked about and was never expecting to have in my collection, and now I do. And yeah, I'm just glad that I can bring it to you and give Outdoor Edge their props for a job well done today. So if you have any experience with this knife, please let me know in the description down below, because I'd love to hear from someone else who has had this knife so I can get their opinions, because those opinions really aren't out there that much. You know, this knife really makes me want to check out what Outdoor Edge is doing as a whole as a company, because I've only had one or two of their knives now, and you know, if they can make a knife on this level regularly, then they're going to do very well in the long term, I think. So that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you again for watching. Any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, if you have used this knife before, please let me know about that. I would love to hear from you about that. But keep your eyes peeled. I've got more content coming soon. I'll definitely keep you posted on some of the things going on the channel. So thank you again for watching, and take care.